US efforts to interfere in China's relationship with Taiwan.
A Chinese military general publicly warned the U.S. Navy against conducting any interference in support of Taiwan's independence, saying that Beijing would defend its claim to the island at any cost. Chinese General Li Zuochang made the remarks during a meeting with the U.S. Navy's top officer, John Richardson, in Beijing, where the officials are seeking to diffuse tensions that have been simmering over the island and the South China Sea.
The issue of Taiwan as an internal affair of China's, bears on China's core interests and the national feelings of the Chinese people, and that Beijing will allow no external interference. If someone tries to split Taiwan from China, the Chinese military will do whatever it takes to safeguard national reunification, national sovereignty, and territorial integrity.
China sees Taiwan as part of its territory to be reunified, despite the two sides being ruled separately since they split in 1949 after a civil war.
Huawei's founder and CEO rejected claims that his company is used by the Chinese government to spy. But it looks like it may take more than a public declaration of innocence to clear the cloud hanging over his firm.
The CEO of Chinese telecoms giant Huawei has rejected claims that the company is used by the Chinese government for espionage. Ren Zhengfei, whose daughter, also the Huawei CFO, is currently being held in Canada on a US extradition request, made the comments to reporters in a rare interview on Tuesday. He said that while he supports the Chinese Communist Party, he would, quote, never do anything to harm another country. The comments come after months of pressure on Huawei over US-led allegations the company's technology may be giving Chinese spies access to Western telecoms networks. And as Reuters Breaking Views columnist Chris Better explains, that pressure's only likely to increase as the world moves towards the next generation of mobile technology, or 5G.
Well, so part of the concern does center on 5G and specifically the carriers build out. So the concern is that Huawei Kit might either now or at some point in the future come with some sort of backdoor, which again the company has consistently denied, and especially with 5G because it's not just another iteration of telecoms equipment and technology. Potentially it could include things like, the Internet of Things, a lot more connected devices in the past. And so it does raise pretty profound questions about where technology is heading, and then do we feel comfortable with a Chinese company being heavily involved in that process?
In the interview, Ren also said that Beijing doesn't even own 1 cent of Huawei, but it might take more than declarations of innocence from an executive to remove the cloud of suspicion hanging over the firm.
I don't think the strategy is very likely to work. The suspicions about Huawei, especially within the U.S. government, have been building for nearly a decade now. Once you have those kind of deep underlying suspicions, especially about fundamental issues, it's possible that even if the company were to go on some sort of radical transparency overhaul, that even then it wouldn't be enough.
No evidence has so far been produced by the US to prove the allegations against Huawei, and the company has repeatedly denied involvement in any Chinese espionage.
French carmaker Renault is expected to hold a board meeting to discuss a replacement for disgraced CEO Carlos Ghosn, a day after Japanese courts denied his request for release on bail.
French government is moving to dismiss Renault's scandal-hit chairman and chief executive Carlos Ghosn and has requested a board meeting to consider candidates to replace him. Renault is set to convene